one of the big tasks in our training program is to get a certain number in puzzle survival. For my band, the 2400s, there's 3 levels. You got to get 61 first, 64, and then 67. All right, this is a really typical pattern. I would say this falls into pattern recognition as well. We have a possible mate with Queen A8, here, but of course the king can get out. So we're going to start with Bishop F5 check, which opens up the bishop on the D7 square as well as the rook, covers the escape square, and then from there you can pretty much pre-move Queen A8 as that's just going to be mate next move. Even if Rook E6, then D7 is still covered. All right, let's put it on the board. And if a knight blocks, then the knight is pinned. So it cannot stop this mate. All right, king to G2. Okay, more just immediate pattern recognition here. We're going to check, force that king onto the back rank, and then we're going to mate with rook to F1. Okay, GG. Okay, white to play here. Let's kind of orient ourselves here, but in these kinds of puzzles, I think the forcing moves, again, is the thing to look at. And okay, we have some random checks that don't seem very tempting at all. We also have queen takes queen, followed by king b4 activating the king. If we look a little bit deeper in that pawn endgame, we see that actually we are going to have this extra a-pawn, and black's king is going to get boxed out. And looks like that's just a very clear win for white. Okay, goes this way, very tricky, but it's not going to cut it. Now king d6, very important to keep the king boxed out. We'll go to b7 if we have to, and then the pawn can start running. Here, once again, a4 would be a massive blunder, king b7. All right, knight f6, wow, okay. Another defense puzzle. Once again, I think elimination is a great tool to use here. Looks like we can take on f6 with 2 pieces. If we take with the knight, I'm noticing that there's queen g7 made in 1 move. So probably not this. So let's just play the only other legal move in the position. Bishop takes f6, knight takes f6. Let's play the only legal move in the position. Queen to g5. All right, now we have a choice. Okay, king h7 definitely feels intuitive, so that white isn't able to take the knight on f6 with check. I'm not sure why it would make sense to allow that. Let's just think for a second, is there any logical reason here to play king h8? Going, yeah, I can't really think of one, right? Like, why would we give this knight with check? Now, king h7, I mean, story's not over. White can still play queen h4. But then, okay, then we start to get some options there. King g6, maybe we play for a win. All right, let's play king h7, and that's that. All right, bishop e6. Wow, already up to 31. That's good. That's real good. We're aiming for 67. All right, what's happening here? Lots of forcing moves. At first, I was hoping that there was some kind of morphing mate, right? Queen takes c5, rook d8, but not working. So then I noticed bishop b5 check. Seems like a very annoying check. If c6, we're hammering on c6, takes, queen takes c6. Only move bishop d7, and then the rook is hanging, and looks like black is getting mated there at the end. So bishop b5, I guess black has to play bishop d7, but then nothing else. We have takes, and free queen on e5. All right, c6, good. I'm glad we didn't see bishop d7, but we actually see the critical defense. Takes, and let's take this one, and that's GG. All right, more pattern recognition here. We have check, and then we have check, and then we have mate in the end. Let's put it on the board. Next one here. Black just played bishop to d4. Yeah, let's stop and think about this one. But oof, once you notice a move like this, it's hard to look away. So let's calculate this one out. Takes. So we notice the pin against the rook on f7. That's just kind of the key tactical element. Yeah, and this hanging rook on f7. So takes, rook takes f7. Black takes the rook. We take with check. And then we're up a piece in that final position. So extra minor piece is pretty good. And that's logical because we're taking a free bishop here, and then we're taking a rook, and then we're giving a rook back. So, and then obviously we both lose queen. So extra bishop here makes sense. Now queen takes d4, you always want to double check. Your opponent doesn't have any crazy in between forcing moves, but no, it doesn't look like there is. So yeah, let's take this one. Okay, oh boy, okay, we got an endgame study here. All right, that's cool, I guess. All right, G2. Man, where do we even begin here? Well, actually, I think it's pretty straightforward. With endgame studies, you try to start with just the most direct moves. So here, the most direct move would be b6. I don't know if this works, but this is where I think we should kind of start our analysis. Let's say black pushes. We'll take that one. Rook takes. We go b7. Looks like only way to stop the pawn is rook to g8, and then we got knight c6, and there's h3. Oh, I'm sorry, not knight c6. I went too fast there. Then we have knight c8 at the end. That's the killer. That's the killer. So let's do that one more time. So b6. If h3, b7, we're promoting with check. Black is not in time. So g1 equals queen, takes, b7, threatening to promote with check, rook g8, kind of only move, and then knight c8. Black can't stop the promotion. Let's say h3, we promote to a queen, and g. Let's push it. All right, g1 equals queen, takes, let's push. Could do bishop d4 check first. Yeah, why though? Why? That's my question. Why? It might actually be hurtful, right? Because the king gets off of the back rank, and then we don't promote with check like we've been doing in all these lines. So you need a reason to include these kinds of moves. You don't want to be fancy for no reason. All right, knight c8 on the board. Next one. Okay, once again, this is pure pattern recognition. Anyone that's read Bobby Fischer Teaches Chess should get this one right away, because this is like the only tactic that the book actually shows. And let's mate it. All right, here we have queen takes f7, mate in 1. You see mate in 1 is hard to look for more. Yeah, the knight's just covering all of the squares. Okay, this is a tricky one. There are lots of moves lighting up, yeah, because this bishop on c6 is hanging with check. And so specifically we have knight d6 with check, and also knight takes f6, also check. Then we have other checks too. We have like knight c7 check, and then who knows, maybe we have even something else. So let's definitely take our time with this one and just start going through the lines one by one. Knight d6 intuitively feels like it's not working because rook takes, defends the bishop. We can come back to it, but I think starting with knight takes f6 makes more sense. And if we can make this one work, then we're probably doing fine. Okay, now if black just takes this knight, then queen takes c6. It just looks very, very bad for black. I don't know, maybe gf6, or if knight takes f6, then there's queen takes c6, king f7, knight g5 check, which doesn't look good for the king. So the move that kind of concerns me a little bit is king f7, like moving the king, or maybe even king e7, moving the king off of the check where we're not taking the bishop with check. Yeah, so let's take our time here and try to again try to go through it one move at a time. There's also knight c7, but yeah, I'm not really seeing a reason to look at this one. So knight takes f6. There's king e7 and there's king f7. Let's say king e7. Maybe white just goes queen takes c6. Just queen takes bishop. And g4 is defended, so we're not worried about that. Black can take the knight on f6 with something. Yeah, kind of an odd puzzle, because it seems like, okay, white just has a winning position, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure how deep we're supposed to calculate here. Like if it's a blitz game, I'm already playing knight takes f6, right? Because I know this is just the most logical move. If it's a classical game, I'm probably thinking for a little while. So let's see. Do we have any other options here? Yeah, it really feels like white doesn't. And not that you should play the move if you feel like it's the only move. Many cases it's still useful to calculate it out because you might be wrong that it's the only move, but by the time you realize it, it's already too late. But if you're very convinced that there's only one move in the position, then can be the right thing to play it. But it's an interesting topic. Is you got to be really careful with this because if you're doing it too much, like you're always just playing the first move and then seeing what happens, then you're not really working your visualization as much as you could be. And in a game, of course, you're not basically you get to move once per turn. You're not allowed to take moves back, right? If it doesn't work out, so you better be visualizing a lot of stuff ahead of time. Yeah, so my feeling here is that after knight takes f6 check, black can take back or they can move the king. I feel like it actually doesn't matter too much because either way we're taking on c6 and then black is probably just going to have to take this knight back anyway, and then it looks like white has a very nice and active position. Material is close to equal, but yeah, black's king is pretty unsafe. And also, if we look at this position, it's like our queen is under attack, this knight is under attack. Like, we're about to lose a piece here. So winning a pawn and getting out definitely seems like the best thing that we can do. All right, so let's take it. GF6, let's take this one. And yeah, that's it. Apparently you just needed to find two moves in that puzzle, which was my intuition was that it wasn't gonna make us do some kind of long line because it seemed like from that point on white had a lot of options, which is what makes some of these puzzles a little bit weirdly rated because it's like there might be a lot more depth to it than it's asking you to find. So the puzzle ends up with maybe a lower rating than it should, or in some cases, yeah, some puzzles can be tricky the other way. All right, black to play here. Let's see, we only have one. We don't have a lot of pieces at all. We're down a full queen, rook, and 3 pawns, looks like. But we do have bishop b4 check. When you have bishop b4 check and your opponent doesn't have a c pawn, usually that means you win the game. Don't quote me on that, but that is, everyone knows that's true. All right, so king d1 looks like the only move there, and then we have bishop b3 double check, king c1, and looks like rook to d1 mate. All right, let's put it on the board. Bishop b3, very nice, and then the rook d1 at the end. Okay, next one here. Yeah, classic pattern. I think especially doing Puzzle Rush, you see this one like many times. Bishop h7 check. Thing is, if we give a check with the queen immediately, then the king gets to escape. So bishop h7 check, forcing the king to the corner, pulling the bishop back to g6. This is the move that is very important to remember. King goes back to g8, and then we have the choice of queen h7. It won't make us choose. It'll just end the puzzle after. Maybe after the first move. Let's see. Check. All right, bishop g6, and yeah, that's it. All right, next one here. Black to play. White's last move was knight to e4. Yeah, we don't have a lot of like heavy forcing moves. So the most forcing move I can see is like f5 or maybe h5. But okay, f5 feels a lot more tempting because it's actually forking the two pieces here. And on any queen move like queen f4, I think we can just take the knight or trade queens and take the knight. So yeah, I'm not sure if we have to think about this one too much. f5 just kind of just kind of ends the game here. All right, queen h4, and okay, to be fair, yeah, I didn't notice white could do this hitting the rook, but luckily we have bishop e7. But let's just double check because we missed one thing. Maybe we might miss another thing. So knight g5 from there, h6, and looks like the knight is gone. f4 would hang the e3 pawn with check, and then we can take the knight. Let's see, do we have any other moves? Not really, right? If we move the rook, then white's just trading on c5, and no reason black should be winning there. All right, bishop e7, knight g5, and let's go h6. Knight f3. Now, honestly, I missed this move as well. I'm not really calculating. I keep expecting the puzzle to be over. But all right, new puzzle. Black to play, both queens are hanging. What do you do? First thing you should just check, like, all right, what happens if I take the queen? All right, white takes on e5. Looks like nothing is hanging from that point. So then you start looking for desperados. All right, we can eat a whole rook here. If white takes the queen back, then we play bishop takes h4. We got a rook, white gets a bishop, so we're up in exchange. That seems good for black at the end there. And if queen takes a1, it's always important to know what's your next stop with the queen. So if white does something fancy with the queen, then we're going queen takes f1 check, taking a second rook. So there's no way white can equal us in terms of material. So queen takes e7 might be a try, like queen takes a1, queen takes e7, trying to get some material, but queen takes f1 check, then rook takes e1, and rook takes e7, and black is always winning that. Okay, also very, very important that white doesn't have any kind of sneaky queen c4 in between checks, and then we lose our queen for nothing. So let's take, all right, rook takes a1, we're going to take here, and that's game. All right, next one here, let's try to calculate this one out. So takes, bishop h6 check, king is forced back to e8, and then we have bishop f7, little Greco style mate. Let's not slow roll the computer. Let's put it on the board. Next one. Man, Jesse was struggling to get to the 40s, huh? Strange. Okay, black to play. Let's see here. We have a couple of checks. There's knight e4. There's knight h5. Knight h5 feels a lot more tempting because it covers the escape square on f4. So knight h5, king h4 looks forced, and then rook takes h2 with a mate. Okay, white has rook h3 there, but it's game over. Oh, okay, so we're going to play it out. Cool. All right, next one here. All right, again, this king is fixing to get mated. But let's be really precise here, because if we go rook g6, king h5, and then we realize, oh, maybe we should have actually taken the pawn, it might be too late. So let's think here. So rook g6, king h5, I don't see a mate. Rook takes h6, though. Threatens a mate on h4, and black doesn't have any checks, unfortunately. Can go rook h8 to stop the mate. That looks like the only way. But then we just take the rook, looks like. And once again, we're going rook h4 mate. All right, very good. Queen takes b4, yep, best defense, and rook h4 mate. All right, we're down in exchange, but white's king here clearly under some pressure. So let's calculate. Queen b1 check, king a3. And here, not many patterns. We're just looking for forcing moves. Yeah, bishop c4, for instance, threatening queen b3 mate feels tempting. But maybe there's something more forcing with like queen to a1 check. But I'm not really sure. I'm not seeing the finish because there's rook a2, queen c1 check, rook b2. And also white can maybe out on queen c1 check go like king b4, maybe start walking up the king. So actually, you know, maybe a perpetual here is a good result for black. We shouldn't exclude that necessarily. But let's see our other options. So queen b1 check, king a3. We have bishop c4, which feels very, very annoying for white because it's threatening mate, and then if white plays like queen b4, for example, there's queen a1, and then the king can't escape. So bishop c4, sorry, queen b1 check first, king a3, bishop c4. If rook b2, then again we have queen a1. There's no rook a2 as well, and then if king b4, then the rook is hanging with check, and probably we're winning there in a couple of moves anyway. So queen b1, king a3, bishop c4. How else can white defend the threat? Maybe a king move like king a4. But let's see if we can find a win there. Feels like it should be winning somehow. Queen b3 check, for example, king a5. We can take on c3 with check. There's queen b4, queen a1 check, queen e4. It doesn't look so convincing. I guess we have our perpetual, but feels like we kind of want more. So queen b1, king a3, bishop c4, king a4. So yeah, I'm looking for other options on how to improve this line, but not really seeing it so far. But let's try to take a deeper look. All right, queen b1, bishop c4, king a4. And we're just going to try to visualize that position and see if we can come up with something. So queen b3, king a5, takes on c3, queen b4. Queen a1 is the only check, queen a4. Oh, and there's queen e1 at the end there. Queen b4, and then queen takes rook. So we're winning the rook, and our bishop on c4 is defended. If b7 at the end there, there's queen a7, mate. So I think that's a long line. Got to make sure it's like totally forced, but it feels like it works. Of course, knowing the puzzle system is just gonna cut it off much earlier, but feels like that's good. Queen b1, king a3, bishop c4, king b3, king a4, queen b3 check, king a5, queen takes c3. There's still king a4 here back, but then anyway we can do the same thing with queen a1. That's so simple. But queen takes c3, queen b4. To finish that line, we have queen a1 check, queen a4, queen e1. Winning the rook. It's a lot of moves, but we're trying to visualize here. Yeah, let's put it on the board. Okay, king a4. All right, here maybe we should double check, because there's still only going to be one solution here. So I'm not sure I want to rush with queen b3 until I'm totally sure it's right. But what else? If queen a1 right now, there's queen c3. And bishop b5 check, king b4. Yeah, so white holds on to the queen. So check, check, king b4. Queen b3, king a5, take on c3. Oh, king a4. Yeah, I just noticed there's bishop b3 there, winning the queen. With this kind of typical king b5, bishop a4. And here the king doesn't stay attached to the queen. All right, that's good enough. I'm gonna trust the previous line I saw earlier with winning the rook. So let's take this one. And once again, we have this check and then this check. All right, good stuff. That was a good one. So yeah, bishop c2 in that last problem, then rook takes c2. And then we just have a queen endgame where white still had this b pawn. Yeah, so bishop c2 was worse because rook can just take.